All right, what is going on, everyone, and welcome back to January's window shopping episode. If you don't know what this is, basically every month I make a video talking about the trends on the market, at least on NA, and showing you how the prices have been compared to last month. So, as we all know, Black Desert is an event-driven economy. That means whenever some big events happen, maybe the price goes up or down on various items, depending on what you may need. But also, I want to talk about some of the notable items and stuff that people will probably use throughout progression in your gear path. And usually I do these videos at the start of every month, but I wanted to wait a little bit because the Preonne accessories, the new Lifeskill accessories essentially, recently released, and I wanted to give that a little bit of time to raise and everything and see what would happen. So that's why this video is a little bit in the middle of the month, but usually it happens at the start. So with that said, no matter if you are on any other server, it's probably an interesting idea to check out like what are the prices here on NA and compare it to your server. Or if you're on console, you might not even have certain things, or may not. But anyway, with that said, so what we're going to be talking about is notable items, and most of that, I guess, like stuff that you may not think is important, but it might be in the future. So anyway, with that said, going on in 2025, this is actually a little bit more difficult because Sovereign is now a thing, and obviously you can't sell Sovereign weapons. Same with Karazad, but whether you're a beginner or not, I think this might help you. So with that said, I guess we'll still look at like black stars and everything, just because some people still unironically enhance these for profit. Maybe not up to pen, but like the Tets still sell. So yeah, we're just gonna quickly run through all of these. Main hand weapons. Yeah, these days, if you want a black star, you can just make one. And I'm pretty sure if you are looking for a black star to enhance a profit, it's probably going to be the Offhand these days, just because with Sovereign weapons, you have the main and Awakening, but the Offhand slot is still black star for everyone else. So yeah, as you guys can see over the past month, you know that snowboarding event? Yeah, it looks like that. So this is before they gave us a second free pen, or a pen black star, and then going down here is probably the second one that you can exchange from Tuvala for your second one. So that's why everyone basically has them, and that's where the decline happens. So yeah, if you're looking to buy one, this is probably the best time ever to get one. And in terms of pen black stars, yeah, we're never gonna see this price again, unfortunately. The hard truth is it's so easy. Like, by easy, I mean you get one for free by getting level 61 and playing through the story, and the second one is like what, 30 billion tops by exchanging a deck Tuvala weapon, and then you can get another one. So everyone at least has one free Sovereign weapon, and then honestly, I'm okay with catch-up mechanics because the real struggle is enhancing this past pen. And yeah, especially Karazad, Sovereign, new Preonne accessories, those are a huge cron sink. So if people can get these at base, that's good enough. Okay, next we have Awakening weapons. Usually Awakening weapons are a little bit more expensive than main hand, just because I guess it requires that Spectre's energy to make, but even then it's not worth that much. But I don't know. More people play Awakening than Succession, most likely across the board. So prices of this one looks the same. 76 looks the same. And let's talk about sub weapons, because I assume this one is probably going to be a little bit different. So if you are a new player, Goddard, this is a beginner trap weapon. It used to be decent back in the day. Well, like, it's not bad. It's just, unless this is pen, you cannot exchange it for the Black Star version. And then if you're trying to make the Sovereign and you need 2 pen Black Stars, as far as I understand, this has to be converted to Black Star. You can't change like Goddard and Black Star. You have to have 2 converting. So if you're stuck at like Tri, Ted, or pen, and you're like, oh, I just need to get it to pen so I can exchange it back. Yeah, that's where the bait comes in. Plus, it's more expensive to enhance this one these days than just Tet to pen Black Star. So anyway, with that said, if you're a new player looking for one, just go for the Black Star, like, and then good luck with your enhances. So as I thought, the Offhand is probably the one to enhance for profit. Realistically, it's not really profit, because getting from Tri to Tet, yeah, it could be okay, but most of the time you'll break even or not make profit. But it is the one that's worth more than the others. The price, it's not getting any better, I don't think. And then pens, I see why it's going up a little bit, simply because like this is one you still use. Like, there's no Sovereign equivalent, so it's not great. But if you also have a Kudum, like if you're a new player and you have a Kudum that's at pen, trust me when I say that'll be fine until you can upgrade into a Black Star. So I guess some people don't have the materials to test it, but what is the equivalent or difference between a pen Kudum Capris 20 versus a pen Black Star? So the stats are the exact same. However, for the Black Star, like, this is a bad comparison on screen because this doesn't have any Capris in it. But at max, the Black Star will have a little bit more monster AP. But the Kudum will have a little bit more accuracy. So, which one is better for PvE? The Black Star. Very marginally, to the point where you might not even notice it. So, if you have it, it's up to you. It's not really a big deal. Okay, so, yeah, so let's talk about armors. Now, this one is something we talked about in the previous episodes as usual. But what I wanted to talk about these days is more just the Fallen Gods, because that's where more people are at. And like, the way you get it is grinding Spots of the Flame and converting it, or just buy it. Nowadays, I'd recommend just people just buy it at the one you want. So let's talk about it. If you are planning to enhance it, let's look at the prices. So base all the way to duo is roughly the same. Duo to Tri and Tet are where things get expensive. So all of mine are self-enhanced. They have my name on it. Very cool. No one cares. But if you are self-enhancing it, I truly think that on average, most people will be able to go from base to Tet in cheaper than it costs to buy it. So what stacks do I use to enhance it? I would probably start at base to Pri, probably like a 70, and go up to like, I don't know, 80, 90 or something. And then Pri to duo is probably the 100 stack that you got for free. You don't have to cron up until duo, and then after duo you cron every step. So duo to Tri, I would probably go around like a 150 to 180 stack and then start over. Because trust me when I say you'll need those stacks later for like Karazad, Sovereign, and all that stuff. And from Tri to Tet, I personally used a 245 for 3 of them, and then one piece for me. I believe it was the gloves, did not go easily, and I used like it went up to like a 280-ish or something. So yeah, I would honestly recommend using a pretty decent stack on Tri to Tet, simply because this is an expensive item, and like roughly 160 is the equivalent of 2 pen Black Stars. So yeah, it wouldn't be a bad option to just use a higher stack on it. But yeah, with that said, there are a few more things I want to talk about in the armor line, which is the Basically the glove version and the shoe version of DR versus evasion, and it depends on what class you are. How do you check what class you are? Basically, if you look at your class passives right down here, for no matter what class you play, does the passives give you evasion? If so, then you are good chance in evasion. If not, then you're DR. With that said, evasion is only really good at very high end, like very high gear score. So if you chose DR early on, it's fine. You can exchange the same one for like the evasion and so forth. You can swap between them. It's not too expensive. So don't worry about if you made a mistake or not. You can exchange it. Very cool. But yeah, that's all for the armors. And then everything else is whatever. Accessories. Okay, so going into 2025, Karazad is your end game goal. The only thing that I would recommend for people to do is eventually you do want Karazad earrings, but the ones that I think are okay is having distortion earrings up until you can convert or, you know, buy like a tet or something and exchange it for a pen. Or I think it is actually cheaper to enhance it from base all the way. You do need some extra stacks, of course, but on average, if you vendor cron or you pre-order a costume or, you know, just buy the costumes, the cronstone route is probably cheaper. However, with that said, it's the earring slots for pen distos is not a bad option because you will get one more sheet AP, which if that puts you up into a new bracket, that's good. The minus DP is not so great. But with that said, if you have Karazad accessories, what that unlocks for you is these extra crystal slots every here. You get one extra slot per Karazad piece you have. And then the extra AP you'll get out of it, it definitely makes up for it. So ultimately it is more. But if you are a newer player and you don't have Karazad, distos are also fine as well. But eventually the goal is to transition into them. So yeah. Aside from that, one thing I did want to look at was Deboreka accessories, because some people do actually believe they just want to buy it and convert it. They don't want to deal with enhancing. I completely understand. So I believe that Debo earrings, or no, Debo rings are the cheapest one of all of them. So like they're roughly the same price, like 30 to 40 billion. But I think if you were to min-max that 1 or 2 billion extra, the ring is probably the way to go first. So if you're talking about like completely pure stats, the necklace is the first one you want to go for, followed by either a ring or a belt, and then the earrings are last. So yeah, let's see. Roughly 200 bill for a Pendebo, which converts into a Nov for the Karazad. Yeah, so you know how those rings were like 30 billion? These are a few billion extra. Is it worth it? I don't know, dude. It just depends on your RNG, but on average, it's cheaper to enhance. And so, yeah, this is my first deck. Like, it took me a lot of attempts. You can see that video where I enhanced it. I think it was like 16 attempts, I believe, out of 30. But we got it. But yeah, this one will give you more overall AP, and it's the one you want to go for first. Belts, let's see what the price of that is. 35-ish. I think people like to go for this one second just to say they got the slot done, and then there's 2 more. But it really depends on your server price. So like if one is cheaper than the other, just work on that one first. Aside from the necklace, from Nov to deck, it gives 2 AP, but from Nov to deck for the other ones, it gives 1 AP. So this is why it's worth doing this one first, and then everything else. All right, so this is one other thing that people are going for, especially all of you moving up from the mid to end game. Kabua's artifacts. You guys want to know a secret? Okay, so these are 5.6 billion, right? The Kabua fragments, they are like, for the most part, minimum price. So if you just buy 100 of these, and then the magical lightstone crystals, you should probably have a lot of them by default. So like all of these things, low key, it's cheaper to just make them. And then if you're using them for yourself, then it's probably the way to go. If you're trying to sell it, it's not really much profit, to be honest. It's one of those things where it's just like, okay, you could probably do it, but the margin of profit is so small. But yeah, the other 2 artifacts are something that are just for end game players to play around with, because I'm going for them, but most people probably won't need it. All DR and all evasion, these are defensive artifacts. I would say more for the PvP side of things, but you know, it's nice to have if you are a PvPer. However, they are hard to get, actually, so keep that in mind. But yeah, I think if you're trying to go for them, Olin's is the best place to grind for them. Ash Forest is not great. So, yep. Let's see. I guess the next thing I want to talk about are the Preonne accessories. So these are the new things. How do you get them? You can exchange a Manos accessory for a base Preonne, or you could change a Tet for a Preonne. And then the prices roughly reflect the same thing, which kind of what I expected, to be honest. And if you have a pen Manos, you can get an Oct Preonne, which is kind of funny because if you have a pen Manos, everyone already knew that was worth more back in the day than what the market cap was, because chances are people were spending like 600-700 billion on it, and it was hard to get on average. So I believe I think you cron every step of the way, obviously not base to pry, but every step up is croned, because the materials that you need to enhance it, these thingies, at least here on the NA server, all the black gem fragments and the concentrateds are sold out, so that means you have to gather a lot for it. So let me see. Yeah, there are 60,000 orders on it. Yeah, chances are you're gathering all the materials yourself, but if you have it, just cron every step, trust. Maybe that answer will change a year from now, but as of right now, you cron it. But yeah, basically, if you're thinking about getting them, what's new? You know how in Manos, it gives you the extra set, like life XP for every 2 of them you have? Same with Preonne for the extra line. So yeah, I think these pieces reflect on the price of Manos, which, you know, it should, because that's the equivalent. But realistically, just know if you are getting into life skills, that mastery brackets go up every 50 and has a cap of 3,000, which 3,000 for most people is really expensive to get. So I think if you are roughly hitting the 2,000 bracket as an endgame player, and then all the way up to like 2,700, that's, I think, where most people will be at, around 2,700, with the Manos Tools and everything. And without going extreme, pushing 3,000. So without buffs, 25, 2,600. And then when people pop all these extra mastery buffs and everything, they could probably hit 3,000. I should do a video when I was doing gathering plus everything. Full buffed, I was hitting around 2,800 mastery. But that's not something I can sustain. And maybe I'll make a video talking about the loot difference on everything. But that's for another video. A few more things I wanted to talk about before we wrap up this video is, where are they? Actually, I have like there's so many different things. Reforge crystals. As more people get into sovereign weapons, you know the things over here? Like, look at the blue text at the bottom. Those are Reforge effects. For most people, let me just tell you what is the important things. All AP, that's just straight up more damage. Some people use back and down attacks. That's just if you grind a lot, that's just straight up more damage. Black Spirit recovery is, I think, overall tested by a lot of people and is just better in the long term. And the last one could be your defensive, so like all damage reduction. I personally have tested a few other things. Basically, how do you know which ones are the good ones? The ones that are basically sold out and have a bunch of orders on them. That's because everyone wants them. Luckily for me, I was able to get most of them, you know, in the first month or two. And then sometimes I got lucky with the boss drops and got them for myself. But yeah, all AP, if you don't have one, put an order on it right now and hope you get one. I personally have chose double crit damage instead of like back and down. I do believe if you do things properly, back and down instead of crit will do overall more damage. However, sometimes I'm just lazy. Sometimes I'm like watching videos or streams while I'm grinding, so I don't, you know, play perfectly. And so I think crit damage is just the overall balance. It's not bad. Crit rate, I don't know. This one is, I just don't have enough testing for this one. But when in doubt, just put like back attack damage, because that one's fairly easy. If you want more defensives or anything, all damage reduction. One thing I've been testing was all HP versus all damage reduction. So obviously it's not like a 1-to-1 thing. And in my testing, I do believe that all damage reduction, depending on your already like geared, if you're already geared, was probably going to do better. However, if you are doing boss shrines like, you know, the solo calamity 1-to-7, I believe 1-to-7 with the auras values HP more than DR because your stats are scaled. So that is where HP would be more important. But if you are like PvPing, doing like Sangoon 8-to-10 or party bosses, I believe damage reduction is more important. It also, there's a lot of factors, to be honest, like, are you full buffed and everything? But I do think that HP is a solid option. But it also depends on what you're doing. I think on average, all DR is going to be better for most people. So yeah, it's one thing, trust me, what I did, I've tested both of them. And honestly, I do feel safer, like with a higher HP pool. And you, whenever you see those Zerkers out there and they have like 12,000 health, yeah, they have a passive that gives HP, plus they're stacking it. So it's actually kind of insane that Zerkers get so much of a buff and stats, and they do insane amounts of damage. But for Dark Knights, we're glass cannons, so half of that doesn't even matter. But it is still nice to try to add more defensives when you can. Everything else, these are very extreme specific scenario cases. Like if you are a PvPer, if you have a grab class, then you might want to, you know, look into these. But if you are strictly like PvE, you know, down attack is always nice. Air attack is kind of questionable because not a lot of stuff in PvE really needs air attack. So back attack, crit, down are generally good, and more damage in general. A few more things I want to talk about before we wrap up is the Manos. We have new Manos Tools, and the fishing chair is probably going to be the most important one because people do AFK fish, and AFK fishing overnight is actually, profitable nowadays. I've seen people wake up to like 1 to 2 billion in a like 12, 13 hour period. So that's insane, actually. Imagine just waking up with a free billion. So investing into a Manos fishing tool is actually very nice. If you can buy one at Penn for, under 20 billion, that's worth. Let's see, the Manos cooking tool, the ladle. When in doubt, just try to get everything to Tet at some point. Maybe I'll do a video for enhancing all these. But if you do Imperial Delivery, the ladle is extremely important. I made the others. I still have to make the alchemy flask one, but that's just whenever I care. But fishing chair, important. Hunting bag, if you do hunting is profitable if you know what you're doing. Sniper hunting is also decent, but I don't think a lot of people actually do it. And then, of course, all the clothes and stuff. So ever since they had the huge Lifeskill update, a lot of Lifeskill gear, I guess you can say, is a lot more valuable nowadays. So is it worth investing into now? Yeah, it also depends what you do. But with that said, I think that's it for today. That's all I wanted to cover. We talked about some of the new stuff that came out this month as well. And so hopefully all of you, whether you're a PvEer, PvPer, or Lifeskiller, hopefully some of these helped you out. So with that said, thanks so much for watching. Hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace.